Welcome back to our channel. Today we are going to talk about a secret habit that creates fluent speakers very quickly. Many English learners feel stuck in their journey. They want to speak beautifully. They want to communicate smoothly without hesitation. But they wait. They wait for a native speaker to help them. They wait for a perfect conversation partner to appear. They believe they cannot improve while they are completely alone. Because of this belief, they stay silent, and silence destroys progress. But what if the greatest teacher is already sitting inside your room? What if the most important conversations happen when nobody else is listening? Listen carefully. Fluency does not start in a crowded room. Fluency starts in your own mind. Are you ready to discover the power of your own voice? In this video, you will learn 4 powerful lessons about why talking to yourself is the fastest way to speak English fluently. You will discover how to practice safely, build deep confidence, and think directly in your target language. Everything is explained in very simple English for beginners. So open your mind, stay focused, and let's begin. Lesson 1. Create your own speaking environment. Many English learners complain about their location constantly. They say they live in a country where nobody speaks English. They say they have no friends to practice with. They believe they need an English environment to improve. Because of this belief, they do nothing. They simply wait for a magical opportunity. But listen carefully. You do not need to fly to another country to find an English environment. You can create an English environment using your own voice. You do not need a ticket to London. You do not need a visa to New York. You only need your mouth and your daily life. Think about a stage actor preparing for a big performance. The actor does not wait for the audience to arrive before practicing the lines. The actor practices alone in an empty room. They speak to the wall. They speak to the mirror. They repeat the words until the words feel completely natural. They create the performance before the performance happens. Your English journey works exactly the same way. Your room is your personal stage. Another important truth is this. Waiting creates silence, and silence creates fear. When you wait for the perfect partner, your mouth forgets how to produce English sounds. Your tongue feels heavy, your voice feels weak. But when you talk to yourself daily, your mouth stays active. Your muscles remember the language. You train your physical voice to feel comfortable with English words. You keep your speaking skills alive. Another dangerous thing is using your situation as a permanent excuse. People love saying, "I have nobody to talk to." That excuse feels safe. It protects them from trying. It protects them from hard work. But strong learners take control immediately. They do not wait for the world to give them a partner. They become their own best partner. They narrate their daily life. They describe their actions loudly. They fill their empty rooms with English sounds. Think about learning English this way. You are cooking dinner. You are completely alone. Instead of being quiet, you speak. You say, "I am washing the vegetables. The water is cold. I am cutting the onions. I feel hungry tonight." These simple sentences look very small, but they are extremely powerful. They force your brain to produce language instantly. You do not need a difficult topic. You only need to speak out loud. Another powerful lesson is this. Daily self-talk builds an unbreakable habit. When you talk to yourself, you remove all the common barriers. You do not need to schedule a meeting. You do not need a fast internet connection. You do not need money for an expensive tutor. You only need your breath and your mind. You can practice in the shower. You can practice while driving your car. You can practice while walking in the park. You have absolute freedom. Remember this carefully. The best English environment is not a place on the map. The best English environment is the space between your ears. Talk to yourself daily, and you will never wait for an opportunity again. You will create the opportunity yourself. Lesson 2. Remove the fear of judgment completely. One of the biggest problems for language learners is severe anxiety. When they speak to real people, they panic immediately. Their heart beats fast, their hands shake, they worry constantly about making mistakes. They think, what if my grammar is entirely wrong? What if my pronunciation is terrible? What if this person laughs at my mistakes? This fear of judgment paralyzes them completely. It stops them from speaking. It makes them choose silence. But listen carefully. A lonely room has no critics. When you talk to yourself, nobody is judging you. Imagine a painter creating a beautiful picture. The painter does not invite hundreds of people to watch the messy process. The painter mixes colors alone. The painter makes mistakes on the canvas alone. The painter tries new techniques in absolute privacy. Only when the painting is completely ready, the painter shows it to the gallery. Speaking English is exactly the same process. You need a safe space to mix your words. You need a private place to make messy mistakes without fear. Another important truth is this: private practice builds public confidence. When you speak to yourself, you give yourself permission to be imperfect. You stumble, you say the wrong word, you fix the sentence, and nothing bad happens. Nobody laughs at you. Nobody corrects you aggressively. Your brain learns a very important lesson. Making English sounds is totally safe. When your brain finally feels safe, your anxiety slowly disappears. Another dangerous thing is practicing only in high-pressure situations. Many people only try to speak English during a job interview, or a business meeting, or an important test. That is the worst time to practice. The pressure is too heavy. Your mind goes completely blank. You forget simple words. But if you have spent thousands of minutes speaking to yourself in your bedroom, the words will flow easily. Your brain will remember the safe feeling of your private practice. Another powerful lesson is this: talking to yourself allows you to be kind to yourself. You can become your own supportive teacher. When you make a mistake alone, you do not feel shame. You just correct it peacefully. You say, "I made a mistake. That is okay. I will try this sentence again. I am learning, and I am improving." This positive self-talk changes your emotions deeply. It replaces fear with self-respect. It replaces anxiety with calm focus. Think about learning English as a journey of emotions. If every conversation feels like a scary test, you will eventually quit. Your brain hates constant stress. Your mind wants to avoid pain. But if most of your speaking practice happens comfortably alone, your brain will start loving English. You will associate the language with peace, privacy, and personal growth. Remember this carefully. You cannot build confidence if you are constantly terrified of making mistakes. Talk to yourself. Embrace your bad grammar in private. Laugh at your own funny pronunciation. Remove the fear of judgment, and your true speaking ability will finally appear. Lesson 3. Stop the translation machine in your head. A very common pain point for English learners is the terrible translation trap. When someone asks them a question, they do not answer immediately. First, they hear the English words. Second, they translate the words into their native language. Third, they think of an answer in their native language. Finally, they translate that answer back into English. This long process takes too much time. It drains mental energy. It makes conversations feel slow and unnatural. But listen carefully. Talking to yourself destroys the translation machine. It forces you to think directly in English. Imagine a musician tuning a guitar. The musician does not look at a complex mathematical formula to find the right note. The musician plucks the string and listens carefully. They adjust the string until the sound directly matches the feeling in their mind. There is no middle step. There is only feeling and sound connecting. When you talk to yourself in English, you connect your thoughts directly to English words. You bypass your native language completely. Another important truth is this: speaking speed comes from direct connection. When you narrate your day in English, you are not translating a conversation. You are reacting to the real world using English labels. You look at the window and think, window, not the word in your mother tongue. You look at the sky and say, blue. This direct labeling trains your brain to function purely in English mode. It changes how your mind processes reality. Another dangerous thing about the translation habit is constant hesitation. Hesitation ruins your fluency completely. It makes you sound unsure, even when you actually know the vocabulary perfectly. But when you are alone, you control the time completely. You can speak slowly. You can pause for 5 seconds to find the direct English thought. You build the direct pathway at your own comfortable speed. Over time, that slow pathway becomes a fast highway. Think about learning English like building a new road in your brain. At first, the road is full of rocks. It is difficult to travel. Your brain prefers the old, fast road of your native language. But every time you talk to yourself, you clear the rocks. You make the new English road smoother and wider. Eventually, your thoughts will travel down the English road automatically, without any translation effort. Remember this carefully. Fluency is not just about knowing thousands of words. Fluency is about how fast those words reach your mouth. By talking to yourself daily, you stop translating, start thinking directly, and unlock true speaking speed. Lesson 4. Discover your missing vocabulary safely. Many learners experience a terrible feeling during real conversations. They start a sentence with great confidence. They speak smoothly for a few seconds, and then, suddenly, they stop. They realize they do not know a specific word. They freeze completely. The conversation dies. This painful experience makes them feel stupid and defeated. They hate finding empty spaces in their vocabulary while someone else is watching them. But listen carefully. Talking to yourself exposes your missing words safely, long before a real conversation ever happens. Imagine packing a suitcase for a long trip. You put in your shirts, you put in your shoes. Everything looks fine in your head. But you only know what is truly missing when you actually try to close the suitcase. Maybe you forgot your toothbrush. Maybe you forgot your phone charger. You discover the missing items during the practice of packing, not during the actual trip. Speaking alone works exactly the same way. You only discover which words you lack when you try to build a complete sentence loudly. Another important truth is this. Your brain ignores missing words when you are only listening or reading. When you watch a movie, you understand the general story. You feel smart. You think you know all the necessary vocabulary, but output is entirely different from input. When you try to talk to yourself about the movie later, you suddenly realize you cannot describe the main character. You cannot explain the ending clearly. Self-talk forces you to see your exact weaknesses honestly. Another dangerous thing is ignoring these empty spaces forever. Some people only learn random vocabulary lists from textbooks. They memorize strange words they will never use in real life. But when you talk to yourself, you discover the exact vocabulary your personal life requires. If you try to explain your job to yourself, you will find the specific business words you truly need. You learn vocabulary that actually matters to your daily reality. Another powerful lesson is this. Finding a missing word alone is a victory, not a failure. When you talk to yourself and get stuck, you do not panic. You simply stop, pick up your phone, and search for the specific word. You say, "How do I explain this feeling? I need to search for this word. The word is overwhelmed. Now I know it forever." You fix the hole in your vocabulary peacefully and quietly. Think about learning English as building a strong brick wall. Every missing word is a missing brick. If you wait for a real conversation to find the missing bricks, the wall might fall down from stress. But if you inspect the wall quietly by yourself every day, you can carefully place the right bricks in the right holes. Your vocabulary becomes solid, useful, and deeply personal. Remember this carefully. You will never know what you cannot say until you actually try to say it. Talk to yourself constantly. Find your missing words in the comfort of your own room, and you will never freeze in front of others again. Let us quickly review what we have learned today. Talking to yourself is not crazy. It is the ultimate tool for true fluency. It allows you to create your own English environment absolutely anywhere. It completely removes the painful fear of judgment. It trains your brain to stop translating and think directly, and it safely reveals the exact vocabulary you need to learn next. You hold the key to your own progress right now. You do not need to wait for a teacher, a foreign friend, or a perfect situation. As a wise person once realized, the most important conversation you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. If you can speak to yourself with confidence in an empty room, you can eventually speak to anyone in the world. If this video helped you, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful English learning lessons. Keep practicing, keep talking to yourself, and never give up. See you in the next video.